Hot exchange in court today. Did you hear shut her up or shut it off? Day 9 of Lindsay Clancy's trial wrapped up on Friday. It's a great day for a great day. My name is Sydney Rushing. I'm a criminal defense attorney in the state of Michigan. Now let's talk about it. Because of the amount of information I'm about to give, I'm going to just read through my notes versus doing the nice little chop it up, making it look all nice and pretty, okay? So sorry in advance for that. The morning started off with witness number 57, Kimberly Hardy, who was a former Kingsbury Club employee, and she worked in the kids' room there. The Clancys were members of the gym. She described Lindsay as being shy during their drop-off interactions. She said the kids would play with toys while they were there. And then on cross-examination, she said that Lindsay seemed to be happy with the kids. She always picked them up on time, and the kids were always excited to see her. Witness number 58 was Sarah Carney, and she's friends with the Clancys, but also is married to Kyle Carney, who testified yesterday. They had dinner together the night before the incident, and she described Lindsay as being quiet and fairly normal. She said that they did speak privately in the kitchen where she asked Lindsay how she was doing, and Lindsay said that she was good and left it at that because she figured that if Lindsay wanted to go deeper in, that she would have, and she didn't want to press her about it. Witness number 59 was Dr. Goodhart. She's a psychiatrist at McLean Hospital. She had an encounter with Lindsay when she was transferred from the Massachusetts General Hospital to McLean Hospital on January 1, 2023. A different psychiatrist had met with Clancy when she first arrived there and took notes, and then Goodhart later reviewed those notes. The first complaint upon arrival was difficulty sleeping without meds. She felt numb, and that she complained about the side effects that she was experiencing. One of the notes that followed in her chart from the Massachusetts General Hospital is that Lindsay told a doctor she wished to be unalive, but did not have plans to do anything. They didn't observe any psychosis, mania, obsession, or anxiety. Lindsay started taking Seroquel and Remeron in December, and she thought that's what was leading to the unaliving and intrusive thoughts. During her time there, she stayed on the same meds and was marked as low risk and was diagnosed with major depressive disorder and severe without psychotic features. Another doctor took notes later in the day and said that Lindsay said she was basically okay and not feeling depressed, but felt numb and was not able to feel any emotion except anxiety. That doctor made a plan to taper the Seroquel to see if that helped with the side effects. During her stay, they kept tapering the Seroquel, and when discussed her past unaliving ideation, she said that she never had a plan and gave reasons of her kids, family, and mother as a reason not to do it. Dr. Goodhart was also looking for signs of bipolar disorder when she was meeting with her. The lack of sleep could have been leading to the bad mental health status. Dr. Goodhart said that neither she or anyone else knows any signs of psychosis. On January 5, Lindsay was discharged with a follow-up appointment date. They thought that this was okay due to her having reasons not wanting to unalive herself and that she never had thoughts of harming anyone else. When a social worker followed up with Patrick, he said that Lindsay never had unaliving thoughts and that he thought she just felt a peer pressure to take psychiatric meds because that's what her friends were doing. What? And upon discharge, she was prescribed 14 days worth of trazodone and Ativan. On cross-examination, Dr. Goodhart couldn't recall the exact resources they provided Lindsay with. She confirmed that the McLean staff did not speak to any of Lindsay's other medical providers about what was going on to assist them. Surprisingly enough, they didn't even ask Lindsay if they could look at her past medical records. No one checked to see if Lindsay had ever called self-help hotlines, which she did twice. When asked about doing blood tests to see if their medications may be impacting her that way, she said that that's not a standard practice of psychiatry. But wouldn't it be important to know after hearing the history that Lindsay shared in the multiple different medications? On redirect, Goodhart made sure to clarify that she didn't feel like she needed to talk with Lindsay's other providers based on the information that Lindsay was sharing with her, saying that you treat the person as they are in that point. Yes, you consider their prior history, but you treat them as they are right then and there. Then we hit the hot mic part, where Reddington called out the prosecutor, saying that the day prior during the autopsy part, where Lindsay was audibly upset, that the prosecutor said, shut her up. They came out later saying that they said shut it off, referring to some exhibit that was up based on the autopsies. And he said that you're not going to treat her like the Handmaid's Tale and put tape over her mouth. The judge was a little caught off guard and then took him to sidebar. Then we got really heavy with witness number 60, which was Dr. Jennifer Tufts. She was a prior psychiatrist for Lindsay. Her first encounter with her was in September of 2022. Lindsay disclosed that she had taken Prozac prior while in nursing school. She indicated no harm to herself or to others. A questionnaire pointed to anxiety and anxiety disorder, and then another questionnaire pointed to depression. She also explained that when looking for psychosis, they look at speech patterns and their moods, among other things, and that Lindsay did not display any of that at that time. Lindsay appeared anxious during their visit. She prescribed a generic version of Zoloft as an initial treatment option. It's the safest SSRI for babies, as well as a baby medication to start this process. She also recommended that Lindsay see a therapist. And then she said that Lindsay was reluctant to start medications because she was concerned about the side effects. The initial diagnosis was generalized anxiety disorder and adjustment disorder with depressed mood. Lindsay mentioned initial side effects, but Tufts couldn't remember exactly which ones they were, but that she didn't find them concerning. She said that Lindsay denied hearing or seeing hallucinations. She said that Lindsay denied having thoughts of hurting Callan. At a second appointment in September, Lindsay advised that she picked up the meds but had not started taking them. She described Lindsay as having some significant anxiety during that visit. She said that usually when people come to a psychiatrist, they believe that their symptoms are significant and that a medication may be something that's prescribed. But despite the symptoms, Lindsay still didn't want to try the medicine. She also indicated that she had not yet started the therapy. At the end of September, Lindsay reached out to Tuft for assistance in filling out paperwork for extending her maternity leave, which she did on October 3rd, which was also Lindsay's first visit with a therapist that was in the same office as Tuft's. On October 20th, Lindsay told Tuft that she started taking the meds and that she increased the dose as instructed, but that she was having negative side effects: loss of appetite, diarrhea, she was depressed, had difficulty sleeping, and that she was, she appeared tearful and foggy and anxious. Lindsay told Tuft that she was worried about taking a new medication. Lindsay was told to stop taking the meds and they would work something out. On October 21st, Lindsay said that she had trouble sleeping and wasn't depressed, but Tuft said she appeared depressed, and they discussed taking Ativan for anxiety flares. On October 26th, there was no signs of psychosis. She still couldn't sleep, but was feeling less anxious. They discussed multiple options for medications. She said that Lindsay was apprehensive about the medication still, but agreed to their new plan: hydroxyzine and Ativan for flares for the time being, but Ativan was not the long-term solution due to it having high dependency nature. The next visit was November 22nd. Lindsay had started treatment at South Shore Perinatal Mental Health Clinic, and she thought that Lindsay was going to transfer her care there. Lindsay requested a return to work letter, which Tufts gave her. On December 1st, Lindsay met with Tufts again and said that she didn't return to work and that she was not getting any better. There were several combinations of medications that were discussed that Lindsay had tried, which were prescribed by South Shore Mental Health Clinic. Lindsay denied unaliving thoughts, but said that she was close to it and she felt helpless. Tufts then told Lindsay she needed to have one provider and stick with the plan. Lindsay then followed up with South Shore and discussed taking Seroquel with Remeron and another medication, as well as her attending a treatment program. Tufts didn't reach out to South Shore for the records because Lindsay knew her medications and she didn't think it was necessary. December 16th, Tufts met with Lindsay again, and Lindsay said Valium and Seroquel helped her sleep, but she felt depressed during the day. Lindsay had thoughts of unaliving, but no plan. They created a plan for Lindsay to go to a partial hospitalization treatment program that was focused on postpartum health and to go to the ER if she had any unaliving thoughts. On January 6th, Tufts learned about Lindsay's stay at McLean Hospital. Lindsay reported feeling numb, and they created a new plan with the trazodone, Ativan, and melatonin. She had no concerns at that time with Lindsay hurting herself or others. On January 9th, Lindsay was feeling flat. They discussed an antidepressant, but they were first focusing on changing the Ativan to Valium. On January 11th, Lindsay emailed Tufts asking about ketamine therapy. Tufts told her that it's an option, but it's hard to get insurance coverage, and you have to try several options prior to them giving that approval. On January 16th, they discussed tapering off Valium because it was making it hard to sleep, and they decided to try another medication. And then on January 23rd, Lindsay told Tuft that she was feeling okay, but a little more anxious. They discussed medication changes. Lindsay denied thoughts of unaliving or harming herself and others, and Tufts didn't have any concerns at that time. And with that, court recessed for the day, and week 2 is officially in the books. Thanks for being here and thanks for following along. And I've got 2 questions of the day. 1, what did the prosecutor say? Shut her up or shut it off? And 2, with the medical providers that you heard from on Friday and Thursday, do you think that these people failed Lindsay Clancy and her husband? I mean, saying that she succumbed to peer pressure and started taking meds just because everybody else was doing it. She was obviously very reluctant to take medications based on what Dr. Tufts was saying. But let me know in the comments.